y'all, and welcome back to Rave in Review, where we rave about and review any and all things pop culture and anything that interests us. I'm Kaya, and you can follow me on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok at kaya.r.pennington. Unfortunately, it's happened again where things happen, and my lovely co host Bree is not able to join us today. But you know what? That's okay because we don't feel like you guys should not see our content just because one or the other is not here. So I'm going solo to entertain you guys. But you can follow Bree on Instagram and Twitter at BrieNavette26, and you can follow Rave and Review on Twitter and Instagram at Rave_N_review. Before we get into it, be sure to like, follow, comment, and most importantly, share. Sharing helps us out so much. Help us be our greatest selves. Help us reach a broader audience by sharing with all of your friends and family. Also, engaging with us, leaving comments and likes and follows, subscriptions, subscribe. It helps us out a lot. We are anything pop culture, but we're also anything that interests us. So if there's anything that you would like to see us do more of or talk more about, leave it down in the comments and we'll review it and possibly talk about it. Engage with us. Help us be our best selves. Now, with that, let's get into the show. So let's get into our first segment called Twitter Conversations. By the way, I just want you guys to see, dressing up for you guys, my Jack Skellington, or Jack Skellington-esque, if you will. So yeah, spooky, scary skeletons. Anyway, let's get into our first segment called Twitter Conversations, where we discuss trending threads on Twitter. Today, I want to talk about how Lizzo seems to constantly be brought up in things that she has no business in. People love to bring up her name, especially when talking about obesity, and she's nowhere near the conversation. Doesn't even, like, there's no point for her to be brought up into it, and people bring her up in it anyway. And I won't say what the incident is this time because there have been a lot of incidences, but I want to talk about how frustrating that is. Now, as I've said repeatedly, I don't stand any celebrity. I honestly don't think anyone should stand celebrities. So this is not from a standpoint of view, a human point of view, I'd like to say, because she's human, I'm human, human decency to leave another person alone when they're not bothering you, have no business being. Anyway, let's get into it. The amount of hate she gets for no reason, the amount of people who bring her up in conversations she's not even a part of, is so freaking frustrating. Well, she promotes obesity. Shut up. Shut up. Shut up. Shut up. Shut up. For one, she has a regular and healthy workout regimen and like eating lifestyle. Um, so I don't know where you're getting that from. Just because she happens to be plus size and she's not hiding it like y'all would like her to, just because she is comfortable in her body, because she does not shrink away, because she's not ashamed, that does not mean she's promoting obesity. Like, I don't know where you're going with that. And like, not all issues and diseases come back to obesity, because a lot of people will say, well, you have a higher chance of catching it if you're obese, and since she's a celebrity, she needs to she needs to know what she needs to do with her position and not do that kind of stuff, which is so funny. It's so funny. Again, this is not verbatim of anybody's words, but this is what people will sit here and say. And it's so funny to me because, like, that same favorite celebrity that y'all be, oh, they're just such a genius, or oh, I'm going to follow them anyway because I followed them since childhood and I like them, be promoting some of the most narcissistic, the most unhealthy, the most dangerous rhetoric, but y'all still follow them. Anyway, all diseases don't come back to obesity. Like, Nick Jonas and Halle Berry have diabetes, if I'm not mistaken. Anthony Anderson, who lost weight and all of that stuff, he has diabetes, if I'm not mistaken. Not sure where they fall on that, type 1 or type 2, but still. And then there's all these actors and actresses who have like different types of cancers: breast cancer, pancreatic cancer, all these different type of cancers. There was a very, and I'm not even gonna bring his name up because I don't even think he should be placed in this kind of argument like this. I won't say his name, but y'all all know who I'm talking about. A very popular actor who was an action star who passed away recently from cancer. For y'all to be clowning him weeks and months before he passed, like, because y'all didn't know what was going on, but y'all were like, diseases don't come back to just obesity, and I need y'all to kill that. Lizzo was not the one with the issue. Y'all are the ones with the issue, because you know what is unhealthy and what is promoting an unhealthy lifestyle? Being obsessed with a celeb you know nothing about. The fact that she run it through y'all minds like this is unhealthy. That's an obsession. That's unhealthy. Y'all should not be worried about what she doing like this. Like, you're unhealthy. The fact that y'all feel the need to always call her out and high-key bully her is unhealthy. Not taking medication you need to keep your mental status on check and on par is unhealthy. Thinking that you're so woke to the point that you have to high-key bully another person is unhealthy. Being anti-Semitic is unhealthy. And just to let y'all know, anti-Semitism is not like something that goes along with mental illness. You're not anti-Semitic because you're mentally ill. So just to throw that out there. Just keep Lizzo name out y'all mouth. Keep her name out of y'all mouth. I don't see y'all doing this with Rick Ross or DJ Khaled. Now, granted, y'all might have done it in their times, and that's not to excuse y'all doing it then, and it's not to say go pick on them now. But the fact that it's constantly Lizzo that y'all are poking at, like, she is every time obesity is brought up, it's her. It's Lizzo. Why? And again, that's not an excuse to go harp on them or excuse y'all harping on them in the past, because why can't you leave? Like, what is wrong with y'all? And then for people, I'm like really kind of getting off my notes here, but for people who are in the community, for you to sit here and bash another Black person like that, like, what beauty standard do you think you are a part of? Like, you on the outs too. So for y'all to be sitting here like just harping, I don't get it. I don't get it. Y'all don't have a problem with her. She's just living life. Y'all don't have a problem with her. You're just fat phobic, misogynistic, anti-Black, and yes, at this point, it is anti-Black buttholes. Y'all are the ones with the unhealthy lifestyle. Y'all are the ones promoting unhealthy lifestyles. Y'all are the ones who are unhealthy. Leave Lizzo alone. Leave her alone. Like, the way she is running through y'all minds, and for what? I don't get why y'all have such an issue with people who are so unbothered. There is a TikTok sound for this, and I want to use it so bad, but I can't because I don't know who that creator is. But like, and I don't want to get in trouble. But like, how bothered you have to be to just somebody who's not doing anything to you? How bothered you just like, leave Lizzo alone. Leave her alone. And with that, let's move on to a lighter topic. Let's go into our TV review segment, and today, talking about Bridgerton Season 2. In Season 1, we follow Daphne for her quest for love. That season involved a fake dating trope that turned into real love. And I'm gonna be honest with y'all, I was not impressed by Season 1. Everybody was so crazy about Season 1. And so I remember like watching GMA one time, and it was Amy Robach and TJ Holmes, and like Amy was just gushing about it, and TJ was like, yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. And so I was kind of the mind of TJ, and I was like, you know what? Everybody is talking about it. Let me give this show a chance. Um, and I was not impressed by it. I was not impressed. Now the actors, respectively, can act, but they didn't have chemistry. Daphne and Simon did not have that kind of chemistry. And then, like, she essays him. Um, it just wasn't good. And not to mention, I don't know what kind of budget it had, but season one here, especially for the boys, like for the Bridgerton boys, oof, they did better season two. They did better season two. But because I did not like season one, I was not gonna watch season two. I was not. I had such high disdain for season one that I was not gonna watch season two. And I don't kind of like how they erased racism, because this is a society where racism does not exist. And this is how they explain it. They explain it away because King George married a black woman, and thus racism was washed away. That's it. Because we have a black queen, there's no more races, and black people can be lords and ladies, and Asian people, South Asian people, Indian people, like people of color can have a place in society now. And I I just didn't like it. But at least they didn't ignore it completely. But anyway, I was not impressed by season one, so I was not gonna watch season two. And then I kept seeing people gush about it on TikTok, and I guess it was much like season one. I was like, okay, let me see what these people are talking about. Um, so in season two, we follow Anthony Bridgerton. Anthony is the oldest of the Bridgertons, and in season one, he was real hard ass. So Daphne and Simon got caught kissing, and so he forced Simon to marry Daphne. Because originally the fake dating trope, it was like, hey, I'm the queen's diamond of the season, and I need you to help me become more desirable, because being the queen's diamond of the social season gets you on some high status. Every man is looking at you. But I don't, for some reason, she wanted to be like unobtainably desirable to make men want her even more, I think. And so that's how it was. And then she was set to marry the queen's nephew, Prince. And then this is around the time she and Simon start feeling each other. It's not, they end up kissing. Anthony sees, and he was gonna fight. They were gonna have a duel to protect her honor. And so she was like, just marry me. You'd rather duel and die with my brother than marry me. So Anthony forced Daphne and Simon to get married. And then they got married, didn't like each other at first. Well, it was stiff at first. And then the rest of the season was just them um, engaging in their passions. So I'm not a fan for season one. But Anthony was a real hard ass in season one. And he starts off kind of like that in season two. Way better wigs. He does not have what are they? They're muffin chops. There's it's a specific style. It's not just sideburns. It's just a specific type. But now I think he just has sideburns. He has like the standard white boy hair, so like it's much better. It's much better. Um, and he's looking to get married, but his requirements for a wife, he wants a smart wife. He does not want to marry for love, but rather as like a business transaction. He does not believe in love. A little bit of backstory. This series is based off some books, by the way. So yeah, I meant to say that. And because of how much I love season two, I read the book for Anthony and Kate, and I would much rather read a book about the Netflix's, because this is a Netflix show. I forgot to say it's a Netflix show. I would much rather read the show's adaptation, like a book of the characters and the than because I was not impressed with the book. But where was I going with that? So he's looking for a business transaction. He doesn't care for love because his parents were in love and they had genuinely good love. And then when his dad died, his mom, she became like a zombie for the first, few months of his death. And it was all left to Anthony because he's the oldest. So it was all left to him to raise his brothers and sisters and to do all the financing and all of that and marry them off and all of that stuff. So he's like, I don't want that, because if that's what it does to you when it's over, I don't want it. I don't want it. So he's not looking for love. He wants a smart wife who he can hold an engaging conversation with, hips for childbirth because needs heirs, and lady enough for society. Enter Kathani Shaman. Now, in the book, she's white and she's not really supposed to be. She's that I'm pretty, but I'm unaware that I'm pretty, and everyone thinks my little sister is prettier than me. In the show, she is South Asian, Indian. She's Indian, and so, um, which by the way, good casting. Good casting. I like that they went that route. Um, so she and her family returned to England from India to secure a match for her younger sister, her younger half sister, Edwina. Anthony and Kate meet while on a ride through the park, which is a decent meeting. However, when they meet again, Kate overhears Anthony's requirements for a wife because they're at this ball, they're at the Queen's Ball, where she's naming who the diamond will be. And so he's outside with the other dudes, and he's like, "Yeah, I want this, I want that." And so Kate has come to England to secure a match for her sister because Kate and Edwina are half sisters, right? So their grandparents, their Kate's mom, her parents are Edwina's grandparents, but not Kate's grandparents. So they don't like Kate. They don't like the fact that their daughter, what's her name? What's Kate's, oh man, I forget her name. But her mom, they don't like the fact that she did not go with the match that they chose. Instead, she married some commoner and they moved to India who already had a daughter who was Kate. And so they're like, they cut her off. And the only way they're going to let Edwina and Kate's mom back into like their inheritance is if Edwina marries a good standing Englishman. So this is Kate's secret. Not even Edwina or the mother knows this. So she wants her. She at least, if she has to force her sister to get married, she at least wants her to do so for love. And hearing Anthony's way of talking, she makes it her mission in life to keep him away from her sister. However, Edwina is named the Queen's Diamond. And like I said, when you get named the Queen's Diamond, every man is looking at you. Every man wants you. And so Anthony cannot think of a better wife, the Queen's Diamond. And then he's Lord Bridgerton. He's the Viscount Bridgerton. So that's in titles anyway. That's some pretty good stuff. So he can't think of a better match, but Kate is like, absolutely not. So let the games begin. As Kate and Anthony square off in a number of scenarios and incidences, along the way, though, they maybe start to get closer. And if you haven't guessed by now, this is an enemy to lovers done right. Oh, and this is why I really love the season. This is why I think the show peaked here. It will not get better. Like I might watch it. I might watch season 3 is Colin and Penelope, and I just don't care for their love story because Penelope deserves better, and Colin is not a two-dimensional. He's a two-dimensional character. Anyway, it peaked right here. I might watch it for Kate and Anthony, their ship name scenes, and I might also watch it for Eloise and Theo, which is he's a low class, and I don't know why they would even put him in there because I think all characters have to get with their they have to end like the books, and like you can take as many liberties as you want, but ultimately each character has to end up with the character that I wrote them to be together with. And Eloise and Theo have such great chemistry, but he's not the character she's supposed to end up with, and so it's like, why you even throw that in there? Anyway, it peaked here. Like it's so good. Um, like I said, season one was not great. I don't think it was great. I didn't care for it, and so I didn't want to watch season two. But I'm glad I did. So the way they meet in the park, they're riding horses and they come to an intersection ish. They end up racing each other and she beats him. Kate beats Anthony, and he's immediately intrigued by her, the way she rides her horse, which is not side saddle. The way she like talks, she's like coy and playing with him. She's equally intrigued by him. Um, it's a very cute meet. It is a very cute meet. And then they meet again at the Queen's Ball, and she overhears what he is saying, and she's like, no, she's determined to keep him away from her sister because she wants her sister to have love. After being named Queen's Diamond, Edwina receives many callers, Anthony included. Um, but Kate turns him down all the way. Because so Kate became the finance. She became kind of like how Anthony did for his siblings. She takes on the finances. I guess I don't know really why her mother did not. I guess she was caught up in her grief at their dad's death because their dad is dead now. But it's Kate who is doing all of this. This is why it's her secret that um, the grandparents want Edwina to marry. Like that's why the mother didn't know, the sister didn't know, because Kate was trying to handle the finances because they're almost, not yet, but almost broke. And so when Kate's family and the Bridgertons go to a horse race event, Kate and Anthony turn it further into a competition by obnoxiously cheering on their respective horses. Um, and when Kate's horse wins, she holds it over Anthony. Like they banter a lot with each other. He's trying to get Edwina's favor, but Kate is like the guard, and somehow in there they just keep bantering with each other. All the while, Edwina is truly beginning to feel Anthony. She likes that he is so persistent. When we finally see him win her favor, he invites her entire family over to the Bridgerton ancestral home to woo Edwina further and extend the olive branch to Kate. However, it's here that he and Kate begin to get closer. They have a game of Pall Mall where Kate not only takes Anthony's special mallet, but proceeds to beat him with it. Edwina, however, is having no such luck with the game, and the Bridgertons notice, but they're not trying to say anything because, they're trying to be. It's a very important game for them. Like, they are really about this game. And the fact that Edwina is not great at it, he's like, it's okay. You don't need to win this game to win my heart. It's good. It's fine. Because he didn't tell Edwina his requirements, right? So, um, when Kate knocks Anthony's ball out of the arena and Colin knocks Kate's out, rather than concede, they both decide to retrieve their balls and keep going. And so their balls are in the woods and they're stuck in mud, so they go to retrieve it. And at first, Anthony's like, mud. And then Kate is like, you got a problem with it? And so she saunters over, steps all in the mud, gets her dress dirty, and knocks her ball, hits his ball, and her ball goes further. So that's kind of how you play the game of Pall Mall. And so she eventually gets stuck in the mud, needs his help to pull her out. And when he goes to pull her out, they both get stuck and they fall down. They laugh. At first, it's like, it's not funny. And then she ends up laughing and he ends up laughing. And it's just like, all right, since we have foregone formalities, just be straight with me. How can I win your favor? That's what Anthony tells Kate. And she's like, I'm not withholding it out of spite. I want my sister to marry for love. You've made it clear that that is not what you want. And so he's like, give me a chance to show you that I can. Okay. So that's their extended the olive branch. They're all goodish. She still has her reservations about him marrying her. And so when they're at dinner later that night, he stands up to like maybe propose That's what, everyone is thinking he's about to do, because he invited her to their home before, because they're throwing a ball to like kind of in the season. And so it's like, or maybe mid-season. So he's throwing a, they're throwing a ball, but the fact that the Shamas got invited before everyone else, everybody in the family, everybody in the town thinks that when they get there, Edwina is going to be the future Viscountess, right? So he gets up and he's like about to propose, and then he looks at Kate and she's like, please don't. Like, there, you can clearly, she's like, not yet. I'm not ready for you to do this yet. And so he balks. And then that hurts Edwina's feelings. And the next day, here's like the next really big scene of Kate and Anthony, the bee sting incident. So in the book, a bee stung his father. So his father was allergic to bees, and that's how he died. And so Anthony has had this about bees ever since, right? So when a bee stings, uh, in the book, when the bee stings Kate, he's like, oh, let me go to suck it out. He's trying to suck out the venom. It's a very awkward scene. People like it in the book. I don't. I think the show handled it so much better. But in the book, he's like, let me suck out the venom. And so he's like sucking on her chest because that's where the bee stung her. And she's like, my lord, get off of me. And then her parents walk up on them. His mama, her mama, and somebody else walk up on them, and they're like, oh, you have to marry her. And so that's how that happens. In the show, the bee stings her. He has like a panic attack. He's like, oh my god, are you okay? He's having a panic attack. And she's like, yo, I'm good, I'm good. And then she takes his hand, puts it on the bee sting, puts her hand over his, so they're like hands on her chest. And she's like, it was just a sting. And so she calms him down, and they get really close, and they're almost about to kiss. And then like they hear a horse neigh, and they break apart and they run apart. Like, I just think that is such a better way to do that than that, because in the book it made me itch. It made me feel weird. Like, I get it, you having a panic attack, but like, I'm screaming at you to get off of me. What are you doing? Like, I think the show handled it so much better. Next episode, we see them go hunting. And again, this is all the while trying to win Edwina's favor. So he's trying to make peace with Kate. And that's even Edwina's wish. She's like, I want you two to try harder to get to like each other. It's important to me. So they go hunting. And on this hunting trip, she's kind of aiming at a deer or something there. And he goes behind her and he's like, yo, this is how you do this. Mansplaining, of course. But I would say it's a cute mansplain, because it leads to some chemistry. And so like, he's behind her, he's like holding it, and he's breathing in her ear, and it's like, I can't even explain that scene to you, but like, it's well. And then they break apart when they hear the hunting party coming. Later that night, there's a rain scene. So Edwina is afraid of the rain. I can't remember why. They do say it in the books. I can't remember why. But like, her dad always read to her during the rains. And so reading helps her. So she's in their library, and I will say this. I think the book did a better scene at this. She explains why she doesn't like the rain. She asks him how his dad died. He says a bee sting. This is in the show, of course. He says a bee sting, and then they have a look. They're sharing a book, and they have a look. And then there's a clap of thunder, and she's like, I shouldn't be here, because they're in their night clothes. So, oh my God. And so she's like, I shouldn't be here. He's like, no, it's okay. Wait. And then she runs out, and the look he gives her as she runs away, she's just like, I want it. But in the book, they have like a discussion, and she like, he guides her through the reins. And I think that was the bit. I will give the book credit for that. So, everyone else arrives for the ball, and there's no ring on Edwina's finger, so they kind of gossip. I'm like, oh my gosh, she ain't got no ring yet. And this is going to be like one of the longest reviews, but like, I'm almost there. I'm like 8 episodes. I'm almost there. And so Edwina's like, at the last dance, Edwina's like, hey, I want you two to dance so he can ask you for my hand, right? And so they're having a little dance, and I will say this about these period times, like, they're so conservative and about like how, oh my gosh, you two were alone together in a room. oh my gosh, you two, you shared one kiss. Oh my. But then they have all these intimate dances and stuff. I'm just like, and then the women have their boobs pushed to the, I'm like, okay, yeah, whatever. Um, so they're dancing and they're like really intimate, hands on the remnants, the where the bee sting was. And they're dancing and she's like, hey, do you think you could love my sister? Or something like that. And he's like, I mean, I can't remember what she asked him, but he's like, is that what you want? Do you want my sister's hand in my reach? Is that what you want? I want her to be happy. Can you give her that? And then he's silent. She's like, if your silence is an indicator. And so she tells him she's leaving for India when her sister is married, and that makes him irrationally upset, and he walks away. And then she goes to find him. She's like, why are you upset? And so, oh my God, this is gonna be so long. The scene in the library, they're fighting, and he's like, why do you dislike me so? And she's like, because you vex me. And he's like, what do you think you do to me? What do I do to you? You hate me. Yeah, I hate you. And they're getting closer as they're doing this. And then he whispers in her ear. He leans in and whispers in her ear, and he's like, tell me you don't want me. Tell me you feel nothing, and I will walk away. And she couldn't say it, y'all. Like, you just have to see it. You have to see it. And then Daphne comes in and she's like, y'all, when I was in this situation, you made me marry Simon. So what you gonna do? So he's like, I don't know. I don't know. And so the end of this episode ends with him, like, they're about to leave. The Shama's family's about to leave. Everyone's leaving because the ball and festivities are over. And so as everyone's leaving, Anthony walks out and he's like, can I talk to you? And Kate was like, oh yeah, sure. Because she thought they had some passing moments. So she thought it was for her. And so he was like, that was meant for Miss Shama, Miss Edwina. And so he gets on his knee and he proposes to her, knowing that he don't feel her like that. And so the next scene, the queen is like, I want to host y'all wedding. And Kate is like, how could you do this? Like, all that passed between us. He was like, nothing passed between us. She was like, you lying. You're lying. Some stuff happened. You're lying. And somehow they get about the conversation. He's like, would you like me to marry you? Is that what you want? If somebody else had caught us, we would be forced to marry. Is that what you want? And she played it off. She was like, no. He was like, good. And so they have a scene where she tries on the ring. I don't know, like, she tries on the ring, and then they get to the wedding, Edwina and Anthony's wedding, and it's here Edwina finally sees, because Anthony and Kate are making googly eyes with each other while she on the altar. So it's here that she finally sees, oh, you've been feeling my sister. And she runs away, leaving him at the altar. And Kate and Edwina have this whole back and forth. She's like, do you love him? And Kate couldn't even answer. And she's like, wow. So that episode ends with none of them getting married. The wedding is canceled. Kate and Anthony share their first kiss. Episode 7 comes and Edwina is still mad at her, at Kate, and Anthony. The entire town is gossiping about the failed wedding, and so they have to act like, both the Bridgerton and the Sharma family have to act like, we're all fine, we're cool. And so the Bridgerton is going to throw a ball to be like, hey, we're fine. Something goes wrong and no one shows up to the ball but the Sharmas. And since they found out that it was a bust, they're going to go home. But Kate ends up going out to sit on a porch, and Anthony is already there, and they have a little back and forth here. And eventually he's like, he's like, you have to stop. And she's like, stop what? And it's like, all of this, I can't concentrate with you around. You have to stop. And then she's like, no, you have to stop. I can't concentrate with you around. And then he's like, go inside. And look, I'm not one for the alpha male kind of stuff, but the way he said that had me having to pause the show. Because on the one hand, I'm like, who are you talking to? Because no, sir. And on the other hand, I'm like, it's a little hot in here. And so this leads to, I don't know if they engage in their passions in a very romantic scene, but I don't know if they penetrate. Like, I can't speak on that scene because I'm not trying to get demonetized, but like, you have to watch it. Episode 8, and like, so Kate ran away at the end of episode 7. She ran away. She went writing. He was about to propose to her. He finds her as she's riding, but she falls off her horse, so she gets like a head injury, and she's in a mini coma for weeks, and then comes out of it. And he's like, I couldn't visit you while you were sick, while you were unconscious, because I didn't want to see you that way, but hey, marry me. She's like, no, because she thinks he's only doing it out of duty and not out of love. And so we get to the Queen's Ball, which is toward the end. Edwina and Kate have made up. Um, and so Kate and Anthony are still trying to keep their distance, but somehow end up dancing with each other in a really cute scene to a orchestra version of Wrecking Ball, which is really good. And that's something, this show takes a lot of modern songs and instrumentalizes them, and it's like, that's good. And it's very, and then it's really good. And the Queen pardons them. She basically, she doesn't like have a reason to pardon them, but she gets the gossip to stop. And then towards the end, Anthony, he's like, hey, I love you. I've loved you from the moment we met, from every ride in the park, every argument. And she's like, I love you too. Where does that end us? And they propose. We do an epilogue, and they're playing Paul Mal again, and they're married, and it's really cute. Like, season 2 is up here. It is way up there compared to season 1. Yes, it peaked right here. I don't even need to see anything else. The amount of times I've watched season 2, oof, I will give season 2 a 9 out of 10. And I only give it a 9 because I don't like the fact that they were trying to do a love triangle between two sisters. Like, the sisters were obviously close, and like there was no real reason to. In the book, they don't even do that. Like, he's interested in her, and then Edwina sees that he's actually interested in Kate, and she's like, oh, you feeling him? Cool, get with it. I like it. Go for it. Like, there was no need to do a love triangle between two sisters. Also, Edwina is possibly married to the Queen's nephew now, because she's like, hey, I have a nephew and he's a prince if you wanna. She was like, oh, okay. So that's how this show ends. I'll give it a 9 out of 10. That's a very long TV review. But I would highly, highly recommend Bridgerton season 2. I really would. And though I forgot to give them a proper introduction, let's take a moment to send it over to our promoters so they can let you know where to find us. Like what you're hearing?
Follow us for more.
We're on Apple Podcasts, Anchor, Spotify, and YouTube.
And don't forget to share, like, and comment.
Woo!
Woo! You know you love us.
And with that, let's finally get to our movie review, our spooky movie review. And today, that film is the 2007, I believe, Tim Burton adaptation of Sweeney Todd, because Sweeney Todd was already in, it's a musical horror, but it was already something since the 70s. So this is an adaptation. And I will be focusing more on the film itself rather than the actors, because I'm aware that there's a certain actor in here that not everyone likes. But it's spooky season, and it's one of my favorite spooky films, and I'm going to talk about it. This story is about a man, Benjamin Barker, being wrongfully convicted and exiled for a crime that he did not commit by a crooked judge, Judge Turpin, so that the judge could get with Barker's wife. But the wife continuously refuses the judge. He tricks her into coming into his home, where he takes what he wants. This eventually drives the wife mad, and the judge takes her daughters in as a warden, which he is later like, hey, I'm going to marry her so that no other man can look at you, because men are awful, so let me marry you. She's 15, by the way. Years later, Barker comes back under the name of Sweeney Todd to seek his revenge on the judge. He finds an ally in the town's baker, Mrs. Lovett, and soon the two become a murderous duo, chopping up people and baking them into Lovett's pies. My thoughts on the film are as follows. I love it. I love it. I think there was like a great cast. Helen Bonham Carter as Mrs. Lovett. Now, y'all know she can play some creepy roles. And I said I wasn't gonna focus on the actor, but like y'all know he can play some creepy roles too, and that's all I'm gonna say. The late Alan Rickman as Judge Turpin, y'all know he can play a good villain. You know it. The haunting good music, My Friends, Down by the Sea, which is the only truly happy song. Um, Epiphany, A Little Priest. It's just chef's kiss. The dark muted colors of the town and the people, because they're all blue, gray, grim, versus the obnoxiously vibrant red of the blood. Because like that, the symbolism of it, the fact that everything is gray, everything is horrible, everything is bad, and then you have this red blood that is just, oh, it's great. So like I said, Benjamin Barker, Sweeney Todd, he comes back to seek his revenge. Now, I will admit the movie's a bit slow building because we see him get imprisoned. He was at first a loving uh, barber, because their whole name is Sweeney Todd, the Demon Barber of Fleet Street. So he was a wholesome barber before he got in prison. He had a wife and a daughter, and this is the one of two, I think, scenes, one of few scenes where we see where it's like colorful and like there's so much yellow for the flowers and everything. Then he gets imprisoned and he goes away and things start getting dark, and then he comes back with the help of a sailor, because he was adrift at sea, I think. So with the help of a young sailor, Anthony, he comes back to Fleet Street to seek his revenge. He meets Mrs. Lovett. He's like, hey, why don't you sell because his shop was above her bakery. So he's like, hey, why don't you rent out the place above your bakery since you're doing so poor? Because she is her number one song is like worst pies in London. So she sucks at making stuff. And so she's like, some people think that's haunted. He's like, what happened? She tells him the story, and then he's like, no, what happened to my wife? And he's like, oh, it's you, Benjamin Barker. And she's like, oh, it's you, Benjamin Barker. And he's like, no, it's Sweeney Todd now, and he will have his revenge. Which these one-liners, these lines, it's Sweeney Todd. It's Todd now, Sweeney Todd, and he will have his revenge. And then what's the other one? It's like, at last, I'm alive again. There's something like, and then Mrs. Levitt is like a comedic relief ish. She's crazy like he's crazy, but like, he's singing about how all he's lost, and at the end of it, she's like, "That's all very well, but what we gonna do about him? Because him is the first body that they kill." So, um, Todd kills a competitive barber who recognized him because he used to work for Todd as a little boy. And so he tried to blackmail Todd. And so Todd he took a hot iron kettle off the stove and started whopping him. And then he put him in a trunk, and then he ended up slitting his throat. And this is where Mrs. Levitt has the horrific idea to start baking them into her pies. And so they just start randomly killing people as he's like building up a plan about how he's really gonna enact his revenge on the judge. They start slicing and dicing other people and throwing them into her pies. The judge does come earlier on in the film, but Anthony runs in, and the judge does not like Anthony because he saw Anthony gander at Joanna, who is the girl, the warden, from the window. And so he's like, oh, the kind of company you keep, I won't be back here. And so now they really have to build up another plan about how they're going to get the judge. So there's a crazy woman involved in this film who, like, she's the knowledgeable crazy woman who knows everything. So she tells Anthony what's up with Joanna. She tells Anthony what's up with Joanna, and he's like, I'm gonna steal her away. Anthony's like, I'm gonna steal Joanna away. So he comes back to Todd, and he's like, hey, I need your help. Can you help me have a place to hide this girl when I steal her? And so at this point, Todd recognizes that that's his daughter that Anthony's talking about, and so he's like, yeah, sure, cool. So they just end up slicing and dicing a whole lot of people. Somewhere in there, they get a boy, Toby, who used to work for the competitive barber. And so Mrs. Lovett uses him to help around the shop. Now he really loves Mrs. Lovett. Mrs. Lovett really loves him. But then he's like one of the only people in the movie who's like, something is not right with Todd. Something not right with that man. He too weird. He too creepy. And Mrs. Lovett is like, nah, let's go get some taffy. And so she has the competitor Barber's purse. And so Toby's like, oh my God, see, that Barber has disappeared. Why do you have his purse? We have to go to the authorities about him. And so she's like, no, we can't. Like, and so Toby's like, are you scared of him? Because I'll protect you. He loves Mrs. Lovett. He's like, I'll protect you. And she's like, I'll protect you too. And then she locks him in her basement where she does all the cooking. And goes to get Todd so that they can kill Toby, which is really heartbreaking for her. Like she has her issues with it, but ultimately she's in love with Todd, and it's like apparently she's always had a fondness for him. And so they come down to get Toby. This is where Toby realizes that bodies have been used because he's eating one, and then there's like a toe or a finger that he finds in one, and then Beetle Branford, who is the judge's henchman, drops from the shop to the basement dead. And so Toby's like, okay. So he hides, and they look for him. Todd comes back up to the shop because because the judge is there, and he finally gets his revenge on the judge. They're singing a song about pretty women, and then Todd is like, don't you remember me? And the judge looks at him and he's like, Benjamin Barker. And Todd is like, Benjamin Barker. And he stabs him in the jugular multiple times with blood squishing all over his face and the window behind him. And then he drops his body. At this time, Joanna is hiding away in the shop. No. Yeah, she's hiding away in the shop. The crazy woman comes in and Todd slits her throat, and Joanna sees, and so he's about to Joanna, and then Mrs. Lovett screams, and so he lets her go because he does not know that this is his daughter because she's dressed as a boy, and so he lets her go. He rushes down to see why Mrs. Lovett screamed. The judge is still pulling on her skirts before he finally died, and they're about to throw him into the oven when Todd looks over at the crazy lady that he killed. He finally sees her face and realizes, that's my wife. Now, the assault that she went through drove her mad, and she tried to poison herself, and that is what Mrs. Lovett tells him. And so he's like, you told me she was dead. And she's like, I said she took poison. I didn't say she died. So he killed her, and so he's like, you lied to me. And so Mrs. Lovett's like, I did it because I love you. I love you. I'd be twice the wife she was. I love you. And so he gets up and starts dancing with her, and he's like, don't even worry about it. It is cool. She's like, really? Really, it is cool. And they're waltzing and they're dancing, and he's dancing her closer and closer until he flings her into the oven and locks her in the oven. So she burns to death. And he goes to like hold his now dead wife, and this is where Toby comes out of the sewer that he was hiding in, picks up the knife and slits Todd's throat, and Todd bleeds all over his dead wife. And that's the movie. Like, that's pretty much the movie. Like, I love this movie. I love this movie. The goriness of it, the muted colors with the highlighted blood, the questions that it, like, what happened to Joanna and Anthony? I think I read somewhere that they get free, but he goes back to being like a sailor, and she, like, it drives her mad. I don't remember. But like, movie wise, what happens to them? What happens to Toby? Because like, did he kill Todd just because Todd killed Mrs. Lovett? He was enacting his revenge on Todd killing Mrs. Lovett. Does he go crazy now and start his own killing spree? Like, the musical numbers, this movie, I like it. 8 out of 10. I like it. Now, again, it might not be everyone's cup of tea because it is kind of gory, and there is an actor in it that not everyone is happy with. So I like it though. I like it though. I like the numbers. I like the themes, both the metaphorical themes and the color scheme. I like the actors because I think that were well casted. Those people can play some creepy villainous roles. Um, Also the theme of like madness, like how that just drives you mad. I'm really trying to keep it short because I took so long on Bridgerton, but I like it and I would give it an 8 out of 10. And with that, let's get into what's in the headlines, where we rave and review celebrity news and gossip. Today, talking about Lovecraft Country being back in the headlines, talking about the new Velma show coming out on HBO Max, and Wakanda Forever, Black Panther, Wakanda Forever. So, starting with Lovecraft Country being back in the headlines, um, we're getting a more in-depth look of season 2 and possibly what future seasons might have looked like. In the look that we get, we see season 2 in a new world where the US used to sit. The season, titled Lovecraft Country Supremacy, breaks down this new world, the sovereign states of America, into the following tribes: the White Lands, New Negro Republic, and Jefferson Commonwealth. We even see, we were even supposed to get zombies running loose in the White Lands. The creator, Misha Green, would also tweet a table of contents for future episodes in a possible season 3. I'm still trying to figure out why this show was canceled. Like, it got like 18 Emmy nominations and was well received. This show deserved to go on. And also, and I could be wrong, I really could be wrong, but I think I saw somewhere, and again I could be wrong, but I saw how HBO Max kind of like really wanted another season of Watchmen, even though the writer was like, nah, one and done. But with Misha Green, who had all these plans um for like future seasons and stuff, y'all were like, nah, we're good. One and done. What? Terrible decision. Terrible decision. You suck. I hope somewhere, someone picks this up. Because you guys suck. All these plans. She deserves to have, like, because, like, writing a script, whether it's like a movie, a TV show, a play, that stuff is hard. And all the rewrites that one has to go through, speaking from experience, that stuff is hard for you to sit here and be like, nah, we're good. My show earned you some money. What are you talking about? Terrible decision. I hope someone somewhere picks that up. With that, let's get into HBO Max's adult cartoon show that is supposed to be coming out sometime in 2023, Velma. In this, Velma and Daphne are, I believe, South Asian. Fred is still white. Shaggy is black, and Scooby is not in there at all. So I will not say like I, I haven't really made up my mind as to whether or not I'm gonna watch it when it comes out. And I was fully prepared to defend this, and I still will against racists. But how y'all not gonna have Scooby Doo in there? Like, what? Why even put it in his universe? And yes, his universe. It's Scooby's universe. Like, I don't care that Velma and Daphne are South Asian. Don't care that Fred is still white. I have my reservations about Shaggy being black because his whole thing is he's supposed to be like the typical white stoner, the hippie white stoner, and making him black kind of makes him really stereotypical. I will say this: why not just make new characters? I'd even argue that they did make Shaggy a new character because his whole concept design is different, and they even used his government name, Norval. Who messes Norval? Shaggy. Like they used his government name? Anyway, I don't care mostly about the changing of races, but also let's stop regurgitating old characters and changing the race. Make new, interesting characters. Now, I've heard two reasons as to why there would be no Scoob. Their reason, which is that he's a child friendly, being and just wouldn't fit in this adult animation of Velma, which I call BS because all the adult animations with cartoons and the main one coming to mind right now, it's Family Guy. Be for real. Then the rumor I heard, which is WB not giving them the rights to Scoob, which, if that's true, why would y'all give them the rights to the other gang members? Like, why? just not like, do y'all not? I don't get it. Like, I don't get it. I will say this. Um, I can't speak for all of us, but there's a difference in, like, I know some people will be like, well, why are y'all upset with this, but not with The Little Mermaid? See, people had their reservations about that too, but when it got attacked so hard by racists, we're forced to defend it, and that's just how it is. So now I gotta go see it because y'all were being racist. And it's the same here. I think you should make new interesting characters. Um, Instead of like regurgitating old ones and being like, boop, there you go, diversity. No. Uh, but if this starts getting like so much racist hate, which I'm sure it has to some, well, now I gotta defend it. Because we defend it with cosplaying, like you can, they're gonna be black today, we can cosplay, like, and that's different. But like, the reason people, because that's dressing up. The reason people defend it so hard is because of racist. Like, also that's dressing up. But like, it's just all in all, it's a little weird, but I haven't decided or made up my mind as to whether or not I'm gonna watch it yet. So, and last but not least, let's get into Black Panther: Wakanda Forever. The trailer dropped some weeks ago, and so I just really kind of wanted to talk about like my excitement for it. It really looks like Shuri or like a woman is going to be the new Black Panther based on the suit and the way it's formatted over some body parts. I'm really excited for it. I'm glad that we, get to put Black Panther and Chadwick Boseman's Black Panther to rest. Probably won't be going to see it opening day. If y'all are, be careful. Um, Horrible people do horrible things. So I really want, like, I just really want to go, just to say how excited I am for it. Yeah, I can't wait to see it. It comes like November 11th, so we're getting close, you guys. We are getting so close, and I can't wait. I really can't wait for it. And I also want to see what they're gonna do with the villain, because like I'm not well versed in the comics. I have a little knowledge. I'm not well versed, so I don't even know who that villain is. I know he was all up in Miss Queen's face, and it's just like, back up, sir. But like, I'm excited for it. But be careful if you're going to watch it on opening day, because crazy people do crazy things, because hateful people do hateful things. I will say this though, and I kind of want this to be a I don't know, unpopular opinions. I don't know what it's gonna be, a Twitter discussion, but I kind of want to say, like, I need y'all to stop acting like women cannot be involved in comics and action and stuff. Like, the people sitting here like, oh, why I gotta be Shuri, and Marvel is being so woke and pandering to women. Like, shut up. Shut. Women are just as like involved in this. Like, and actually, I'm gonna try my hardest to make this, because I have some stuff to say about it. But like, the fact that you were not well received, or here's another distinction. Um, well, y'all are just now getting into this, and I've been a nerd since day one. But y'all wanted to talk about me when it was just me. Women have been here too. Girls have been here too. And the reason you got talked about is not because you were a nerd. You were just weird. Like, women can be here too. And news flash for you, buddy. Like, Black Panther is now a woman. Ha! Ha! And with that, that's what's in the headlines, and that's the show. Thanks for listening and watching. If you like our content, be sure to like our content. Give it a thumbs up, leave a comment. Anything you agree or disagree with, be respectful, but anything you agree or disagree with, anything you want us to see more of, let us know. We'll review it and see if we want to do it. Likes, shares, please share. Sharing helps us a lot. Engaging helps us a lot. Please do all of that. And with that, see you next time.